Hi everyone and welcome to this video. So today I'm going to be reacting to Raymond Kahuma's Why I Dropped Out of University in Africa. As a student who is in my final year of university, I'll be reacting and giving my opinion on whatever he said during this video. I'll try as hard as I can to keep it real so that you get to enjoy it. So without further ado, let us get into the video.
Why I dropped out of university at age 19 in Africa. At the time I had a full scholarship studying electrical engineering in the best university in Uganda because that was my dream. The only problem is it didn't make any sense. So after my first semester I dropped out of university never to go back again because to me it only came down to these two things. Why are you doing it and where do you want to be?
Now at the start of the video, we're already getting to know why he dropped out. He couldn't answer the basic questions of why he was attending university and where he wanted to be in the future. So a lot of us don't ask ourselves these questions, and many people get into university to do all these courses without having in mind what they actually want to do with their lives. Now as a person who chose software engineering and I'm in my fourth year, there are very many times in which I kind of regret the decision of having chosen software engineer, which is a 4-year course. And have I known that I could actually get all the skills that I currently have on the internet, which I've done, I wouldn't have wasted time and money coming to university. So let us continue.
When I truly asked myself, I was only doing university for my parents, or maybe that's just what people told me is the only way to make it. So after
Well, this is actually a very popular opinion this side of Africa, because a lot of students are told that if you don't go through the education system, there is really no way you're going to make it in life. So a lot of us have to go through the education system to become whatever we want to be, because even when you're a sportsman, even when you're talented at maybe YouTube or any other thing, there is no way you're going to get all the freedom to do whatever you want unless you pass through the education system and go to university. And maybe that's when you can get a job, get out of your parents' house, and start living a life you want. So that's something that we always face in Africa. Like, even when you have a passion for something, it's very hard for you to be able to basically come up and follow your passion and follow your heart, because we're always told to be this or else, be this or else. Like, if you don't follow a particular route, then society is always telling you that you'll be doomed. So let us continue.
primary and high school, it only made sense to get a job. I guess that worked in the past.
So another thing is, a lot of us are actually being told that the only way to make it in life is through employment. So let me actually start from here. Let us continue.
School, it only made sense to get a job. I guess that worked in the past because very few people had access to knowledge at all. You had to go to
So here's a point here. I'm a software engineering student, but I can say that I have a lot of my friends who have actually got more knowledge from the internet. People who know more skills than me, and they have never attended any lecture in university. So at this point where we have all this information, it would be much more sensible for someone to use the internet to gain skills so as to be able to solve a certain problem in society. For example, if you want to be a software engineer, then there's no point for you attending university. Okay, there may be a point, but in my opinion, I don't think it's necessary for someone to actually go to university to do software engineering, because all the knowledge they need is on the internet. All these resources are free, and it doesn't really make sense to pay all that much money, most especially when you're underprivileged. I may understand when someone tells me that when you're not privileged, then you cannot be able to afford things like a laptop and internet access, just like most of the kids in the United States. So when you look at it both sides, he has a point and he doesn't have a point, because a lot of us have to first get a job, be able to afford money so that we can be able to actually follow our passions. So let us continue.
university to learn, but that's just not the case anymore. Now it's just not the case to learn, but that's just not the case anymore. Now
Yeah, he's right here, because a lot of people don't go to university to actually learn. A lot of people go to university so that they can get this paper that gives them the permission to be able to work. Now, this has changed because a lot of people can get skills, they can get According to my field of software engineering, there are very many ways in which you can get skills. You can go to the free coding resources, you can be able to watch YouTube, you can be able to do anything that can help you get skilled and be able to work professionally as a software developer or an engineer without having to go through the education system. So it hurts so much that a lot of us don't get the privilege to be able to skill up and get all the skills until we reach university. I'll tell you my story personally. It took me 18 years for me to be able to access full access to a computer where I could be able to learn how to code, where I could be able to learn video editing and all the stuff I do right now. And all that happened because I went to university. Now, there are some lucky kids in Africa who actually get access to all that, but not every kid, not every child in Africa is actually going to get such an opportunity. So there are lots of information out there. Some may say that it's accessible, but it's only accessible for those who are privileged, those who can be able to access a computer or an internet access at all the time.
Now everyone has access to that same kind of information. Africa is littered with very educated but very unemployed youth.
This is a right point. I've personally seen a lot of my friends who graduated with a bachelor's and are now coming back to learn coding skills. So basically speaking, it's really unfair for people who get educated in Uganda because a lot of people are doing courses that are not really to satisfy a given need in society, and these people end up being unemployed, and this causes a lot of misery and makes people feel like they wasted time. Now, I think the only solution to this is to help people know what they want to actually become, so that when they know what they want to actually become, they do not waste time in school, they do not go and do all these courses just to end up on the streets not employed.
Who this system's failing, and that's just not fair. The ones that do get jobs absolutely hate them because they find that that's not really what they want to be doing.
He has a point here because I always ask myself the question like, what would I like to be like? What do I want out of my life? Do I want to be sitting coding at a table every day for the rest of my life or 40 years of my life? Of course, I don't want to. Now, a lot of us see the money, and the truth is, every time we are told to make money, we look at jobs as the only source of money. Now, the people who are lucky to get jobs always find themselves stuck in these jobs where they get the money, be able to afford this, afford that, but they'll be miserable for all of their life. And I think this kind of explains why a lot of people hate their jobs, but they can't be able to quit because that's the way it is. There's nothing else they can be able to do with their lives.
But now you've already spent like 5 years of your life, which isn't fair as well. If you don't know what you want to do, now you're probably better off on YouTube trying a few career paths and just seeing kind of what you're passionate about. It could be plumbing, golf, whatever. Now you can make a lot of money doing anything under the sun. And if you already know...
Well, he actually has a point because I thought of starting a YouTube channel. I actually have a second YouTube channel where I do majorly coding stuff, programming stuff, and I'll be honest, most of the skills I had I actually learned from the internet. However, the problem with this is there are skills you won't be able to learn from the internet, and this is why some people need to go to school to basically get the skills they are going to work with. For example, people who are going to work in the medical field, engineers, lawyers, all those people need to go to school so that they be able to get the skills that make them competent for the job they are going to be doing. However, in 2022, we are lucky to be in a position where you can become a YouTuber, you can become an entertainer, you can become a sportsman, you can become anything. And the good thing is we are boundaryless. We don't have boundaries. Like with the rise of the use of the internet, you can be able to make a video and be able to touch the lives of a million people. So here's a valid point right here. Anything can be done and anything can be able to turn into a career. In fact, I have a dream of actually making my YouTube career a career. I actually repeated myself, but let's go ahead.
What you want to do, you do not need a piece of paper to give you permission to start practicing a particular skill. To make
Now, he actually has a very good point right here. So, there's always this thing that I always called noob thinking. And noob thinking is when people have to be Like, you have to have the permission to be able to work for someone else through a paper that's just a paper that is to certify that you actually spent years of your life trying to prove that you can be competent for a specific job. Now, with the rise of the internet, people can be able to get these skills and not be able to basically go ahead and pass through that to get jobs. So it's kind of unfair. The system is rigged because a lot of people have to actually succumb to the fact that they have to get a paper at the end of 3, 4 years, 5 years to be able to work a job and earn money. Now, this is different because there are a lot of things that you can be able to do without your degree, without the paper, without barriers for us to be able to get working, get a job, get a career, or do something with your life.
Money in this world, you have to get really good at doing one thing in specific. Sales, social media, stock trading. It takes roughly 10,000 hours to get good at something.
Well, this is a really good point because I have honestly been able to make 200 videos on YouTube, and I think it's just a process that comes out of doing it. So you just have to get into the habit of doing something really well that you can actually add value to people, and then people will be actually in position to give you money for that. The formula to success is always to be in position to give value to people and then be able to earn from that. Now, a career comes out of finding that one thing that can make you add value to people and earning from it. From the words of Xavier, he said that you need to find yourself something you're passionate about and then monetize it, and then congratulations, you'll be having yourself a career. So that has been the way I kind of approach school, despite the fact that I need to finish the degree and get the paper so that I make mom happy. I'm always of the fact that my choice of a career should be in line with something I'm passionate about, so that I don't have to feel bad about working a job I don't want to work for the rest of my life. So let us go ahead and listen to what he has to say.
And the fastest way to do that is to get straight into doing that same thing. Not spending 3 to 5 years of your life in the hopes that someday, at age 50, you'll finally become the manager of some government organization and then you can start living your life.
Well, he has a very valid point here. I mean, a lot of us get to work these jobs, the so called jobs, and then there's a problem with ageism. Like, there's a lot of old people who are filling very high places in high positions, that even if you're skilled, even if you're competent to work in a certain place, you can't, because you'll have to climb the ladder. You have to prove that you're really worthy, and that actually occurs in very long periods of time. So there's no way you can be able to fill up a top government office if you are a young person. So this is kind of true, because then a lot of people don't choose to work within their passion. They always look at factors like the money they'll be making. Entrepreneurship is hard, don't get me wrong. Entrepreneurship is hard, and not everyone should become an entrepreneur. But the problem with working with us all being employed is it eliminates the fact that everyone can become an entrepreneur. For example, there are very many ways in which you can create an income, and as one of the most fortunate people that I created myself a side hustle, I started a YouTube channel, and this YouTube channel has been able to give me money. And I'm right now in the position where I'm like, if it goes well, I want it to turn into my career. So it's all about just starting to do something you're really passionate about, and with time, as it adds value to people, you'll be able to earn from that instead of waiting to go and have a job where the chances of you becoming rich are even less. So we all have responsibility of living, and it hurts that a lot of people do not choose to be responsible for their life and for their happiness. They all choose to postpone their success to be able to celebrate the good things in life after waiting for long periods of time. And my approach has always been to not succumb to such a lifestyle. I want a life where I can be able to enjoy my life, well, work hard on something I really love and stuff like that. So let us go on.
Come on! I still think that university is helpful if you're trying to operate in patients or something like that, but
Yes.
majority of people do not need to go to university. It's outdated and success can't only be measured by your academic achievements. It's still very weird.
Well, this is a really valid point because then uh, school is outdated. As a software engineer or as an upcoming software engineer or as a software engineer in the making, I can be honest, I can tell you that most of the stuff I've learned in class is actually useless in the real world. It's not applicable at all. Maybe if you're working in really technical fields, for example, if you want to develop programming languages and all that stuff. But even the stuff that we study in school right now is so outdated given the fact that technology is always increasing and things are always changing. So I've been in position where you're studying something in class, but you all know that it's something that's so far behind, so far left, and it's really sad that our education systems have to be like this. And it's also funny that in Africa, a lot of people tend to see academic achievement as a measure of success, but that's not the case. Success is something that has different people have different metrics for success, because I can view my success as being able to get 1 million subscribers from YouTube or get 1 million US dollars. Well, someone can also view their success in terms of how much money do I have? How am I going to get rich and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? So I think Wigmund has a very valid point here, and yeah, I support him on that.
Talk about dropping out in Africa. So, to every single African parent out there, I just want to let you know no one cares if your child went to school or not.
Well, yes. There's a lot of this fear of embarrassing your parents in case you drop out. And I also have that fear, and that is actually why one of the reasons as to why I chose to continue with school so that I don't disappoint my parents. So, most of the times when you drop out of school in Africa, your parents will feel bad about it because society will start seeing you as this person who has actually gone insane. You've done the worst decision of your life. You're literally disappointing your parents by dropping out. Of course, as a person who wanted to drop out at some point, having thought about the fact that I would embarrass my parents, I decided to continue and be able to finish school. So let us resume.
Well, what will people think? You'll embarrass us. Honestly, most of us just want to make some money so we can afford some freedom to live.
Wow, this is actually a valid point because most of us go to school not because we want to do all these careers. Most of us go to school because we can get skills, and even if we are to get the skills, we want the ability to be able to dress up, be able to live in a house that's not our parents' house, be able to afford the basic needs of life, and so on, without having to depend on our parents. But the truth is, in Africa, a lot of parents think that the only way for their kids to succeed and make it in society is to go through the education system. And this is not good because a lot of people's opinions don't really matter. And our parents get so caught up in Banando Lezachi if my kid does not graduate and stuff like that. So I know my mom will watch this at some point, and just know I won't disappoint you. I'll get the degree, but at the end of it all, I still pursue what I want in my life and stuff like that.
Only have one life. So while school is one of the ways to get there, it's not the only way to get there.
He actually has a point, and I really feel bad for the people who actually said that he was telling people to drop out. School is one of the ways you can get there. There are a lot of benefits you can get out of going to school. You can get yourself a job that can give you a lot of money to get started doing something you're really passionate about. You can get connections, you can get friends that you'll never meet if you never went to school, and all those connections are actually good connections that you'll have in the long run. However, school is not the only way you can get. Due to the fact that all of us are talented in very many ways, school is just one of the ways in which people can get to whatever they want. So leaving school as the only option which can allow people to become what they want is kind of limiting because different people are talented in different ways. For example, sportsmen won't be It's very difficult for you to be a sportsman, to be a sportsman and be able to succeed in stuff that other people may succeed at. So in most cases, it's always good to not only see school as the only option that can allow people to be successful. There are a lot of successful businessmen in Uganda who haven't actually passed through the education system, and they employ people who pass through the education system. And that actually brings us to the fact that education creates people who are so entitled. Everyone who gets through school thinks things will align and stuff like that. And when they get out of school and fail to get jobs, they actually feel sad about it. So my reaction to this is like he's right. Like school is just a way for success. It's just an option. It's just one of the ways we can achieve success, but it's not the only way to achieve success. So let us continue.
Don't let your ego kill the relationship you have with your children. And lastly, I don't believe in overnight billionaires or shortcuts, but I do believe that we live in 2022. Just solve a really hard problem or provide a lot of value to people and you'll get rich.
Yes, this is exactly what I have always had in mind. This is exactly what I wish they would have told me. That the only way to get rich right now is to solve a problem, is to add value to people. Once you add value to people, money is just an outcome of all that. I've been able to monetize a YouTube channel and I've actually seen that take place. When you give people value, when you kind of help people get to their goals, when you help people, when you serve others, that actually gives you money compared to you serving yourself. So he has a valid point here. Solve a very big problem that society has, serve society, and money will follow you. At least that's some of the advice I've had from some of the good friends I had. So let us continue.
As for your parents, they'll love you again when they're in your private jet. And that's
So this is kind of a funny ending where he's saying that your parents will actually laugh with you and fall in love with you again once you're in your private jet. So the goal of every success, of every good African parent, is actually seeing their children become successful, and by limiting their children from only going to university, it's kind of limiting because they kind of underestimate other factors like the talents these students have, the opportunities that these students may have outside school. Though school creates for us opportunities, and a lot of us are not that privileged because you won't get to access a computer until you're a certain age. I personally accessed the computer when I was at university. For me to be able to do YouTube, for me to be able to learn how to program, to edit videos, it all happened at university. So university kind of played a role in that. However, we should also train ourselves to not see university as the only way in which we can become successful and in which we can actually provide value to society. So I'll end this video by concluding that Raymond had a point. However, when you see it from people who are not privileged, university is also necessary because it helps us to actually discover what we want to do with our lives and how we can add value to our societies. If you've enjoyed this video, please click like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Help me become a YouTuber. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.